Welcome back to another episode of the Experts in Fire podcast. I'm your host, Mike Vennard, and with me today is Randy Mowry. Today's episode is Gas and Wood Bans, what you need to know, and alternatives to consider. Let's get into it. Hey, Randy, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are you today?
I'm pretty fantastic. We have way too much fun, and our listeners never get to hear about it because Sam cuts it all, man. She just cuts it all. So, Randy, we are going to talk about gas and wood bans state by state. I know we deal with it every day. We have people call in. And I want to start by telling everyone this is not something that we have direct, immediate access to simply. However, you do as a resident of the area that you're in. And you don't, we're talking to our pros. My son's a GC, so he knows how to check all the codes in the different areas that he might be doing work. And there are a lot of them. I have to lay that out there to start. So for everyone who's listening, Woodland Direct cannot know what's going on in your direct township and the specific rules that they have. I'll give an example. We bought one of those porta barns, and we were all excited. My son, I said this a million times in this podcast, my son got a tractor. Man, these guys in their 20s, dude, they have beards down to their belly buttons. And then they buy tractors. It's just the thing to do, right? He's an engineer, a general contractor who owns a tractor. But he wanted to store it inside, so we got one of those porta barns, and we put this thing up, and it's pretty sweet. Well, all of a sudden, my neighbor comes over, and he's like, hey, those aren't allowed in the township, right? Actually, no, I had no idea.
Oh, great.
So it was a to-do, right? And I'm thinking, why would it not? But people were putting them up and not putting them into the ground properly. And during high winds, they were blowing. And these things are serious structures, right? The posts on these things are 3-inch. And they were flying across yards and slamming into people's cars, into their houses, through people's windows. So it made sense once I knew, but at the time I didn't know. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make is if you call us, we're going to have some general information, which you're going to share today, Randy. But then you as a pro or even as a DIYer, you're going to want to check your local codes before you really get deep into the project so that hey man, is what I'm doing good here? Is it going to pass inspection? Is everything going to be okay? And we're not even going to talk about just skipping over inspections. So you need your inspections, everyone. So let's start there, Randy. What's kind of the high level?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to touch on because we do hear about it quite frequently, and it does. Every single state, every municipality within that state, chances are could be different. I have a running list in my head of different areas, like California, for example. I have the understanding from some of the contractors that we work with out there, like in the San Francisco area, we've heard that any new construction you can't put any type of wood appliance in, and it has to be possibly only electric. That there again varies possibly between those municipalities, and they can't do even gas. And then you have places like DC and Mass, for example. They have restrictions on some ventless products in the area, and Mass has like their own even list of products that you can use. Just to kind of give you an idea, I'm kind of going outside, but for example, Massachusetts, I'm doing a commercial property for some fire pits, and they have to go through a special certification through Massachusetts, or I should say, be on like this list that they actually have. Then you have, Mike, you have places like Austin, Texas, where I've done some work. From my understanding from some of my contractors out there is there are certain bans for outdoor of burning wood through certain periods of the year. Oregon has very, strict ideas on the efficiencies of a wood-burning stove to help keep that state clean. So they have like their own guidelines. But there again, like you said in the very beginning, we can't stress enough to reach out to your inspectors, the folks that are doing the work, and have them double and triple check the products that you're looking for. We'll talk about wood, and if you're considering wood and you can't do wood because of a particular ban, there are alternatives, Mike.
I can only only give some examples. Back when I was selling to a gentleman who wanted to put in a barbecue island. And so we had the whole island picked out. We had the grill picked out. Everything was ready to go. And so he goes, Mike, I'm out here in the desert of Southern California. Let me check with my local. So he did. And I can't remember what they call it out here. Out here, it's a township. Out there, I don't remember. But he went and checked with them. And he came back and he's like, okay, according to them, I have to have a vent hood for my grill. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you were putting a pergola over this or anything. Or I would have told you the same thing. You can't have one of these grill heads underneath a structure. He's like, oh, no, I wasn't going to. But I guess I am now. He kept adding to the project. I mean, this project got huge. And, I'm just a little piece of it. I'm the island. He was doing the whole backyard. And Randy, no lie, we got to the end. And I thought for a little while he was just kind of messing with me. Just kind of like we do as salespeople, right? He's just stringing me along. No, they were stringing him along. And he said, Mike, here's the problem. I can go out and buy a grill at the big box store, and there are no regulations for it. But if I buy a grill from you and put it into this island, he said, I have to follow all these. It's going to cost me thousands of dollars. I'm out. I literally just went to the big box store and got a cheap grill to put on my beautiful patio out here. I was shocked.
Anytime you start to build something, and it's, we talk about like this band, and we bring it up, I feel primarily because there's been a lot of talk and challenges across the country, with the wood and things like that for just various reasons. And where like Boulder, Colorado, for example, I mean, there's certain, I believe, certain zip codes there that you think it's nice, in the ski season you have these fires. Well, in Boulder, they have certain areas of, if you're building new construction, that I don't think you can put any wood or any kind of wood stove or wood appliance in. There again, that has to be checked, but it's just something a lot of times I feel that it doesn't get thought of. Like a band, why I live here, I should be able to burn wood. And it's a thought. I want a fireplace, and we don't think of bands. We're just thinking of how we want our home, like you said, to look, or our property that we just purchased as a secondary home. We want it to look a certain way, and so, but it is something that we want folks to think about.
You have fire-related questions, and we have answers. You can email us your questions at podcast@woodlanddirect.com or give us a call at 586-221-3638. We would love to be able to answer them right here on the Experts in Fire podcast. So I 100% agree, and you think about the people who grew up in Colorado have always burned wood, right? For most people who don't live in California, they think of the coast, but there's a lot of land that isn't the coast, and especially when you get into the valley out there and into Northern California, it's country living. I lived out there for a while, and they call horse towns out here, they'd be huge towns, right? But out there, they're just horse towns. They're out in the country, and folks out there, they just don't get it either. They're like, what are you talking about? It's my house. I can do whatever I want in my house. I'm like, brother, you live in California, right? You might want to check on that. And you're absolutely right, Randy. Before you build something, check. But then, if you're attempting to get a particular look and you're wondering, well, man, I can't burn wood, what do I do? What are some alternatives that we offer currently for our customers so that they can enjoy?
No, that's a great question. And the alternatives would be some type of gas appliance, a fireplace, whether it be natural gas or propane. There again, a lot of rural areas, they may have to use propane there. They have a local propane supplier bring out, big, 1,000-pound, 2,000 gallon tank, and they hard pipe it off of that. So there are some gas alternatives, and also we want to check on those as well, though, Mike, because there are still certain areas that are transitioning to where they don't want gas being piped into these homes, and they're going to be strictly electric. So, we've been talking about wood, but there are some restrictions across the country that are leading into this area of gas as well. So that's another important part of that build, remodel, and finding out from your local inspectors and your builders about that.
Well, it was a big win for the gas industry, and for our industry, the hearth, patio, and barbecue industry, when the courts ruled that they could not ban gas in California. And that's really what they were going after. You can't tell people they can't have a gas stove, right? So that was a big win. However, there are still places across the country. I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but when you start talking about indoor fireplaces and gas, there are certain parts of the country where propane is a no, sir. You can't have propane gas logs or something of that nature. And then there are other states in the country who are saying if it's a vent-free log set, it can only be propane.
Correct.
Which blows all of our minds. We all just kind of go, huh? That's their rule, right? I don't know how they came to that conclusion, and I really don't have to. All I need to know is that's their rule. I'm going to follow the rule.
Yeah, that's the important part of this. I want folks that there is no universal rule, we'll say. It's so important for folks to understand that it does vary. You know, we're in Michigan. You know, we have multiple counties. And within our counties, you know, we have multiple cities. You could jump from one county to another or one city to another within a county, and it may be different. You know, so it is very important that folks check into these things before they do something like that.
That is a great point. It's what makes our country great. It's a part of what we can individualize all the way down. I've sat on the boards here in Michigan, all the way down to the township, which some folks might look at as just, you know, country. That's where I live.
Right.
Well, that's just country, right? I think the people out on the West Coast, LA to New York, they call us the flyover zone. But we have the right to make rules for our township however we want to, and that's valuable. However, sometimes rules get made and nobody really understands them, but it doesn't matter. You just got to know what the rules are. And there was a purpose for them at some time, and then of course you can work with your local governments to try to change those rules if you need to. However, it doesn't matter. If you're trying to install something, you need to know. So you need to know if your gas type is available or allowed. You need to know if vent-free is allowed. And then if we say, okay, you can't use gas and you can't burn wood, where do we go from there?
Then we move right into our fantastic electric fireplaces. I personally have several in my own house for more reasons than others. So they're a fantastic alternative to move into, and they're getting better and better every single year. They're getting more realistic, and you know, just another one of those products that we do a lot of, whether it's residential or commercial.
It makes me laugh that you say that, because when I started here 10 years ago, you had already been here a couple of years, and you were coming out of being a general contractor yourself and doing all of that stuff. And I remember us looking at some of the electric fireplaces, and even they had electric logs, and we just started laughing because we were always the older guys on the team, but it was like a hamster wheel. So you could hear the and we just laughed like, are you kidding? I'm telling you what, in 10 years, Randy, electric has come so far. I agree with you. I have one in the other house that we own. It's gorgeous. People, they came in and did an entire commercial shoot at that house wrapped around that fireplace. It's beautiful. And you can make, I mean, we did like natural wood slabs as mantle and countertops and everything, just kind of wrapped it around this electric fireplace and never had to worry about, you know, where's the heat gonna go. It has heat. It does have heat available, but not have to worry about how to vent it and, you know, those types of things. So as an alternative, it offers some fantastic options out there. And some, you know, on the one side, I get all the different colors and I get all the different, but then on the other side now, you have some players in the market who have offered this beautiful, it looks just like fire.
It does. And when I send folks like a video of it, they're done. Yeah, I'll take it.
Take it. I'll take it. I don't have to worry about fighting with my permits. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I can just have a beautiful fire. Yeah, that's an awesome option. So, Randy, we've talked about the state-by-state thing, and there are places that people can go to look at that, but I would encourage everyone, rather than even do that, we use some high-level pieces out there on the internet to be able to look around and go, okay, what is legal here? What isn't legal here? We try to keep up with all of that stuff. One of the members of our team, Pete Anderson, he's fantastic in terms of his knowledge base and being in this industry for so long, and he helps us a ton with that kind of stuff as well. But ultimately, it just boils down to wherever you're doing the work, they're going to have the rules, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. We may have some general ideas of certain areas, but then it always comes down to that zip code of where that property is at, because that's what matters the most, is that property that you're currently working on, and that's the zip code that you have to check into. And we never want to steer anybody in the wrong direction and tell them they can or can't do anything just to sell a product, because that's not what we're about. Obviously, we're customer satisfaction, safety, but we also want to make sure that these things are going to work. The last thing we want to do is send something to somebody to find out the inspector says, yeah, no, you can't do that.
100%. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you just want to shoot over to us, man, here's a crazy story that we had, please get it our way. We'd love to share it with everybody out there. We're trying to build this community so that everybody can have a place to discuss what we do, and most importantly, keep people safe and within the rules, whether you like the rules or not, so that we can all make money and keep our clients and customers happy and safe out there. So, Randy, as always, brother, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being here, bro.
You got it. Have a great afternoon.
You do the same. Join us next time for gas logs versus gas fireplace inserts. We'll see you then.